We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Wednesday, May 7th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and welcome back to News Generation. Joining us today is Park Ki-eun.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, and Lee Won-bin.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. So we're going to begin our show today with our keyword news. Our keyword for today is Squid Game. With less than 2 months to go before its release, the highly anticipated final season of Squid Game released its teaser and poster on Tuesday. Under the title, The Final Game with prize money of 45.6 billion won begins, the teaser posted on Netflix's official YouTube channel had already racked up more than 1 million views by this morning. In the 85-second clip, we see the return of the pink guards entering the players' living quarters with coffins. Now, one coffin contains the protagonist Song Gi-hoon, played by actor Lee Jung-jae, lying motionless and bleeding. So I want to ask our panelists, what did you make of this teaser? Were there any moments that really stood out to you? And what are you hoping for in the final season of this Netflix hit?
Well, it's a teaser, so the teaser was very vague. It didn't have any specific informations or any leads, but there were a few guesses that we can make about what's going to happen. For example, the upcoming games, but there was nothing specific, and I want to avoid spoilers for our viewers, so I won't do a deep dive into it. And personally, I'm just really touched by the fact that there will be now 3 seasons of Squid Game, because Squid Game, it's very historical and unprecedented for a TV series from Korea to be a global hit for 3 multiple seasons. And what I especially like about Squid Game is that unlike other TV series or dramas, they did a really good job at like implementing and displaying these traditional Korean culture, and it was a very new, fresh thing for most viewers. So I'm very happy that now there will be 3 seasons for everyone in the world to see that. And at this point, I just expect that they will tie a good knot at the end. They'll have a good ending, not an anti-climax that falls like a stick. So as long as they do that, I'll be very happy and satisfied.
And maybe they could introduce some new, fun Korean traditional games that international viewers didn't know before.
Absolutely.
And Ki-eun, you watched both seasons of Squid Game, so I also want to ask your take on the teaser this time.
Right, like what Won-bin just said, the teaser didn't show too many new details, but I'm sure that global viewers from all around the world are anticipating a better final season compared to season 2. Now, season 1 was a mega hit, so naturally everyone kind of expected a better season 2, but personally I didn't find it to match my, I guess, like the first season sensation.
I think many people felt that way.
I think most people felt that way as well. But the acting was incredible. The fact that we were able to see Kong Yu play the villain, which is not something you see every day.
Right.
And his acting was incredible. That was a big, pleasant surprise. And I'm hoping that this season comes up with like a famous line that we saw in season 2.
Which was?
The one that Song Gi-hoon did when he was playing the game. He said, Arirang! I saw a lot of people doing that, and it went viral. So I want to see another famous line, or even a scene, or even a character from season 3 that's as like sensational as the autumn from season 2. And let's go Song Gi-hoon and Park Ki-eun.
Oh, okay, what a
I had to
ride.
say that.
And let's go Squid Game. And meanwhile, season 3 of Squid Game, which wraps up the Netflix hit series, once again is officially set to premiere on at the end of June. And that was our keyword news for this Wednesday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Wednesday is when we turn our focus to issues impacting the lives of young people around the world. Take a look at the screen to find out more on today's topic. Over the past few months, significant changes in U.S. immigration policy following President Donald Trump's return to the White House have brought uncertainty to many international students. Reports indicate that the U.S. government has revoked or is reviewing the visas of numerous foreign students. This has raised questions about the stability and predictability of studying in the United States. So this is a topic that's causing widespread concern among international students in the United States, including many Koreans studying abroad. I remember we briefly talked about this topic when Trump started his second term in office. So we're first going to begin by breaking down what exactly is happening and why.
Yep. So since March, the US government has abruptly begun revoking student visas, causing significant difficulties for many international students, including Korean students. As of April 24th, more than 1,800 plus international students and recent graduates have had their legal status changed by the State Department. And these are ranging from private universities such as Harvard and Stanford to large public institutions such as University of Maryland and Ohio State University. This development stems from the Trump administration's intensified crackdown on foreign students and academic staff, citing efforts to eliminate anti-Semitism on college campuses and curb illegal immigration. The administration claims that visa cancellations target individuals who are deemed to act against U.S. national interests. However, according to local media, aside from a few high-profile cases, many affected students have no idea why their visas were revoked without any explanation. And some observers argue that this may be politically motivated. As the Trump administration struggles to show tangible results after 100 days in office in its campaign to pledge to deport illegal immigrants, it appears to be targeting international students who are seen as an easier group to act against.
And this news on visa revoking of international students has been making headlines in the United States, and students were really quick to respond. So I want to ask you, Wonbin, how have been students reacting to this visa disruption? What kinds of responses have we been seeing?
Well, many students were definitely caught off guard completely. And surprisingly, they did respond with a strong pushback. Some of them even took legal actions, filing lawsuits that argued the US government violated the process by suddenly canceling their visas without any prior warnings. And they said that it wasn't just unfair, but it was also unlawful as well, especially for students who have been studying in the States for years or even a decade. And their main demand was for the decision to be reversed and for their visa status and student records to be fully restored.
Right.
And after days of pressure and global criticism growing, the US government eventually did back down a little bit, and they agreed to undo the visa cancellations and recover the data of those affected. And this moment really highlighted how quickly international students can come together, raise their voices, and push back when something this serious threatens their future and their career.
And I want to add on to what Wonbin just mentioned. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, it has already restored or plans to restore the legal visa status for hundreds of students through the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System. Now, for those unfamiliar, this is a system that tracks international students' records, and if a student is no longer listed on the system, they may be forced to leave the country. While some students are now seeing temporary relief, however, many are still facing uncertainty, stress, and fear. So, Kyun, I want to ask you specifically in terms of Koreans currently living in the United States, and for example, Korean students, how are they reacting to this?
So Korean international students make up the third largest group of foreign students in the United States.
Right.
So let's take a look at the screen for more details. India ranks first in the number of international students in the US universities, followed by China, then South Korea with approximately 43,000 students registered. Now, this sizable presence has been reflected in the surge of emergency calls received by Korean support organizations from students whose visas were abruptly cancelled. And in one case, a Korean American student enrolled at Columbia University was reportedly marked for deportation simply for participating in a campus protest against the war in Gaza. Now, despite not taking on a leading role in the demonstration nor appearing in the media, the student suddenly found himself at risk of deportation overnight.
Wow. But it's not just students who have been affected. I heard that other professionals, Korean professionals working in the States, have also encountered similar situations, right?
Right. So it's not only the students that are being affected, it's hitting Korean professionals as well. To give an illustration, back in May, a Korean assistant professor at the University of Houston was suddenly forced to return to Korea in the middle of the semester, which is shocking. And his visa was canceled without warning, like we mentioned. And the university said that it happened because he had enrolled in a PhD program at another institution, which affected his student visa status. The story quickly spread, and the school's social media page was filled with comments from shocked students. And most people did agree that it's very unfair, especially since the professor has been actively teaching during the semester. And cases like this are making Korean students more feel anxious and worried about their future. And even those whose records have been restored with, even those who where their visa recorded have been restored, they're still dealing with a lot of stress and pressure because of these kind of news where uncertainties where they get canceled again. So a lot of people are being really affected beyond just students as well.
This is definitely a great concern for those living in the States. Now, to hear firsthand what it's like to be in the middle of all of this situation, we'll soon be joined by a Korean student who is currently studying in the US. We'll be right back.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang.News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Korean millennial Kim Youngbin. Youngbin is a doctoral student currently studying in the United States. Welcome back to the show, Youngbin.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to this interview.
Thank you for joining our show once again. So Youngbin, we'd first like to start off by asking, do you know any students who've been directly impacted by the Trump administration's visa cancellation move?
Well, according to several news reports, around 100 international students in California, where I live now, have had their visas canceled. At my university specifically, I've heard of 4 confirmed cases, which were also mentioned in a local news coverage. I don't personally know any of the students, but one of them is a friend of a friend. Based on what I've heard, one student lost their visa due to a DUI from a few years ago, and another was allegedly involved in organizing a protest on campus.
Youngbin, thank you for sharing. How would you describe the overall mood among international students right now? And are there fear and confusion widespread?
Yeah, I would say there is definitely a lot of concern and confusion going around. Recently, I had a long conversation with a group of international students, and many of us were feeling pretty anxious. While the Secretary of State has stated that the student visa cancellations are only targeting individuals with criminal convictions or tied to terrorist activity, I think the way things are actually being handled feels a bit unclear. There have been reports that various records of international students, such as IRS tax filings, past police encounters, and even social media activity are being reviewed, which makes it hard to know exactly what could trigger a problem. I want to believe that things have calmed down a bit since late April, but I think that lingering uncertainty is still very much present for a lot of us here.
I see. Well, thank you for sharing the atmosphere of the front line of what's happening right now. Now, with news that some students' visas are being reinstated, do you think that's helping to ease the situation, or is the uncertainty still very present?
So, yeah, I also read that at one nearby university in California, 13 students initially had their visas canceled and 6 of those were reinstated. I've also heard that several lawsuits are in progress, which shows that people are actively working through this issue. That said, I think many international students would feel more relaxed if the process and the criteria were clearer. Personally, I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to study in the US, and I don't take that for granted. But I do think that having more transparency around visa policies would really help us to stay focused on what we came here to do, study and do research and contribute to society, either it is home country or in the US.
Absolutely. All right, Youngbin, thank you so much for sharing your experience today, and we hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you and have a great day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Right, so we're now going to expand our discussion. So from both the student's perspective and the U.S. government's viewpoint, this issue is carrying a lot of weight. So why do you think this situation matters on such a high level?
Well, from the perspective of international students, this comes as a bolt from the blue. It means the collapse of their academic careers and a derailment of carefully laid plans. And having invested significant time and financial resources into their studies, this impact is nothing short of devastating. And just like what Youngbin mentioned, it's causing so much confusion among the international student communities, and they're having to kind of look at plan B or plan C of going back to their home country and changing their career paths, which is very devastating. I mean, the reason for them studying abroad is for their career future, career path, to change their, it's for their careers, for their futures, and they're there to just study and live a better life to help their home country and the country they're studying at. So I think the government needs to really come up with a more transparent and clear and fast, effective countermeasures to really ease this pressure.
I mean, especially when you are studying or living in a foreign country, there's already a lot of uncertainty. But if your visa is at the brink of getting canceled, then I can't imagine what kind of uncertainty they'll be going through. Then what about from the perspective of the U.S. government or United States?
Well, from the U.S. government's viewpoint, international students actually play a big role in the community and the economy as well. And they're not just an additional income source for schools in the States. They're not just studying, but they're also boosting the country's research power and keep universities competitive on a global level. And so if the U.S. government keeps canceling visas without any clear warnings or messages, it could, and it most likely will backfire. Talented students might just start looking somewhere else to study, and this means that the U.S. will lose out on brain power, innovation, and even money in the long run. And we all know losing money is what President Trump hates the most. So yeah, it's definitely in the best interest of the U.S. government to keep these current international students within their country.
Right, and I totally agree with you because having talented international students and a talented pool of people, it's a big benefit for the country as well, the United States. So this could be a big loss potentially, not only for the students, but for the United States as well. So ending off, you both studied and lived abroad for quite a long time. So I think that this issue would hit home for you a lot. So ending our discussion today, what are your reflections on this issue after today's discussion?
Well, it's sad to see in this day and age, this kind of unfair action taken against students, especially in the US, where we see the country as a very developed country and seeing many international students actually go to the US to study. And I think for these international students, they pay a lot of money, not only to the universities and the country, but they put their most important academic years on the line that could actually make or break their careers in a foreign country. And like you mentioned, it's not easy living in a foreign country as a student. Like there's so much pressure. Everything's very unfamiliar to you, and you're there to just study, focus on your studies, but
you have other things to think about.
You have a new president, and he all of a sudden changes all these,
your life.
like changing the visas and then revoking it again, and it's causing so much confusion to these students. And I heard that some of these students who are actually planning to go to study in the US have changed their minds and just chose to stay in their own countries and navigating through what good universities their country have. And I'm sure even South Korea, we have a lot of prestigious universities. So this in turn can be actually an opportunity for other international students who actually plan to go to the US in the first place to actually navigate through other countries, look for different options. Like, there are great universities in Europe, including like the UK and even in Australia, and of course South Korea and Japan and everywhere else. So I think for the US, this could be a big blow in the long term because they're losing a lot of great talent, researchers that are needed for our countries to foster in the long run. So I think students, I'm sure students like Youngbin, they're having a hard time right now, but hopefully their confusion gets solved very soon.
Right, this issue could definitely have a huge ripple effect. Now, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, as someone who studied as a student in Canada before getting permanent residence, it's definitely something really difficult to imagine because when I was in school in 2017, visa, like everyone just mentioned, visa was like the last thing that I had to worry about. Like once you get your visa approved, the visa is yours and it's going to be yours. Like unless you do anything criminal or anything against the law, you're basically keeping it and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And as an international student, I just want to emphasize one more time, there's a lot of things to consider while studying abroad, such as housing, finances, all the additional paperwork, not to mention the translation and the certification that you have to do of those paperwork.
Right.
And on top of everything that I just mentioned, having uncertainties about the visa, while you're studying, it'll be a big demerit as a country to study. So it'll be a really big disadvantage for US to gather students to study. And studying abroad, it's a very big, irreversible commitment to move to another country and basically live there and study.
It could be a life-changing decision.
Yes, exactly. And furthermore, for people who lived with a visa, people who has a visa, did all the necessary legal paperwork and to legally stay in Korea, in the country, which is the whole point of the visa, and allowing them to stay in the country without any worries or any concerns feels like common sense to me. And I think canceling their visas or taking it away from them without any warning, it sounds like a bit of a stretch for me. So I hope this situation gets resolved ASAP.
Right, fingers crossed. And that's all we have for this edition of News Generation, but we will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks to Park Kyun.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, and Lee Bin.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, and to our viewers, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow on Thursday. We are News Generation.